Hello, Danville. Alan Shields here, Chief of Police, and we are 10-8 and in service, which means we're here to make people's lives better, and we do that by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. Thank you for joining me tonight. We are going to cover burglaries, and we're going to have a pretty good segment right at the end on how to prevent burglaries from your garage. So that's when someone breaks into your garage with the intent to steal something, and there's a couple of tricks that are known by the crooks out there. I want to share them with you, and then how you can thwart them from stealing. I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. This is a live show, so if you have a question, please go ahead and throw it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer it. We've had a little bit more activity over the last couple of weeks, so if you have something that you've seen or you have a question on, by all means, throw it in the chat and let us know. First off, again, the FEMA All Hazards Guide, download that, print it out, and throw it in a drawer, and that will provide you information on how to be prepared for something like an earthquake, where you can learn what you need to do during an earthquake, how to prepare in advance of an earthquake, and then what you can do post-earthquake to survive. Also, go to our Contra Costa County Sheriff's website and log in and opt in for the community warning system. This will allow you to receive text alerts when there is a disaster. You can also download the Wildfire Preparedness and Evacuation Guide, and that's a good guide to have on hand. It'll help you prepare your property, and it'll help you prepare your family in case there is a fire in your area. All right. So I love seeing all the hellos and the Merry Christmas and the Happy Holiday wishes. So thank you for all that. It's the engagement that actually makes this show worthwhile. I'll tell you that there's not too many weeks that go by that I don't get an email or someone coming in the front door saying, hey, we appreciate you being available. All right. And, you know, we're available with Coffee with the Cops. You'll see us out at not just coffee shops. Sometimes in the summer, you'll see us out at like Foster's Freeze, maybe at Starbucks, at the Yogurt Shack. So we're out and about, and we're happy to go anywhere that is willing to host us. But we're here. And so please take advantage of this. If you have questions, by all means, throw them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer live during the show. What I can't get to live, I'll make sure I get back to later. And all right, so we'll move on. CommunityCrimeMap.com. This is where you can get your updates for crime and sexual offender registry information. For traffic collisions, we had 2 property collisions, 1 hit and run. And one of those, well, let me go through them first. So December 22nd, there was a non-injury collision on the 1500 block of Green Valley Road near Diablo Road. And on the 23rd, there was a non-injury collision on Valley View Court. And that's the one I want to talk about in just a second. On the 23rd, we also had a hit and run on a parked car on Orange Blossom Drive. So on Orange Blossom, that was a car, looked like it was a Jeep, hit another car, and then drove off. No other information on that. On the 23rd, it was a report of a hit and run initially. And it appeared that the parties may not have known that they collided. And that, believe it or not, it does happen. Sometimes you'll get a car that backs into another car. Maybe they rub a bumper on the way out of a parking stall. It's not all that uncommon. And so we are happy to help assist in finding that other person. And so in that case, our officer went out, was able to identify the car based on what the witness saw, talked to the owner. The owner was unaware, and helped exchange information with the other driver. So make sure you get those reports to us and let us know what you do see. And I'll say that was not the case on Orange Blossom. That Jeep hit that car and clearly had to know they hit it and drove off. So not all hit and runs are innocent mistakes of fact. All right, so what did crime look like? This is unsettling a little bit. Again, nothing in the way of homicide, rape, robbery, or aggravated assault. So no violent crime. We're going to end the year, if we keep this up, on very, very, very low violent crime, which is excellent. But burglary is probably the next thing that we concern ourselves with, because that is where someone enters either your business or your home with the intent to commit a theft or a felony. And so we do take those serious. We do always assign those to a detective, and we make sure they get a lot of attention. On the 19th, there was a theft from a locked vehicle on the 400 block of Everett Drive. So that's an owner doing good, and they're locking their stuff up. On the 20th, there were bicycles stolen from the yard on the 1000 block of Alicante Place. And then on the 23rd, we had a theft from an unlocked vehicle in the Costco parking lot. So Costco seems to be coming up as a place where people are stealing. And then on the 25th, we had a theft from an unlocked vehicle on Santiago Court. Now, with Costco, I do want to mention this. Not picking on Costco, because Costco is a great community member. I mean, they are very attentive when they see crime coming up, or when we tell them crime's coming up, they actually come up with strategies and ideas and work with us to implement those. So that is a high volume place. That is always just based on the nature of the way it's set up. It's high traffic, lots of area, lots of cars. It is going to be an inviting place for thieves. So we, as the consumers, as the users of that, have to know that. But I will say that I am very appreciative to Costco, because they make recommendations for where we can put cars, where we can do patrols. They are very, very good partners in this. But it's important for us as the users of that, as the customers, to know that this is an area where we really never want to leave something in plain sight. We want to lock our doors. When we're unloading our grocery carts, we want to make sure that if we've got our phone and that sort of thing, that we have it with us, that we don't have our backpacks and our purses where it's not under our control. We really want to be careful, because we know that that is a likely place for offenders to go and try to steal. All right, let's move on to the burglaries. So let's look at what the burglaries look like. Let me see if I can get that screen all full so you guys can see it well. All right, so burglaries. December 24th, we had a commercial burglary at a business in the Danville livery offices. So this is Sycamore Valley Road West, but this is not the livery where you see like Forbes Mill and Piatti's and all that. This is on the south side of the road where the business offices are. On the 25th, we had a commercial burglary at a business on the 9,000 block of Crow Canyon Road. That's the McDonald's Starbucks parking lot there on the southwest corner of Camino Tasajara and Crow. And then on the 25th, that's where we had our residential burglary where a garage window was busted on Gerald Drive. They entered and they took merchandise and property from inside the garage. And it kind of, no fault of the homeowner. Again, it's 100% the suspect's fault. But even in this case, the homeowner did very good to really make sure their property was well maintained and taken care of. But it did spur some ideas on what we can do for others that may not have had all the things in place that this homeowner did. All right, I'm going to check and see if there are any comments in the chat. John Gawk asks, what is your take on the In-N-Out Burger racial incident? It's getting really uncomfortable out there for us. So John, first off, what I have to say is that is a San Ramon case, and the San Ramon chief has handled it. And as soon as it came up on his radar, he actually coordinated and communicated with me. But as far as commenting on that is, I think Chief Denton Carlson did a phenomenal job on immediately working that case and getting it. Here's what I will say: if you're looking for a comment, please, if you see something like this, I know that it's great that social media is an awareness tool. I like that it can put information out there, but if you don't call us and tell us, we won't know. Okay. And so please, if you have something like this and you feel that you have been a victim of a crime, please call us. And then I do want to cover one other thing, since you brought up the incident, and this is not specific to that, but it always bears reminding, because there is a standard to what the police can do and what we can't do. And it's usually defined by what is a hate incident and what is a hate crime. And we use the DOJ's definition. A hate incident is typically something that's motivated by hate. It could be a slur. It could be something demeaning that is said based on race, gender, and those sort of things, religion. But it doesn't involve a criminal activity. A hate crime involves a crime. So that could be criminal threats. It could be battery. It could be vandalism. Any one of those things that's motivated by race, gender, sexual orientation, those sort of things. And so here's what I say is, don't arbiter that yourself. Don't try to figure that one out yourself. Send it to us. If you feel that you've been a victim of a crime, give it to us. But please have an understanding that as law enforcement, we have some boundaries. We don't enforce social norms. We enforce laws, but we do like to get that information, because if you feel that you've been a victim of a hate incident or hate crime, it may be part of something larger, and it does help us to know that. So John, I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. It allowed us to have a quick conversation about that. Sue says, do they not have on-site security at Costco anymore? I haven't seen the security the last couple of times I've been there. So Sue, like a lot of our big, larger stores, they do have staff that are focused on organized retail crime. What I think we're talking about is several years ago, they had a couple of robberies that had taken place there, and they would actually have on-site security there for a long time. So you will see that if there is some type of crime, they may bring in visible security, but that doesn't mean that there's not, when you don't see them, that there's not other security that are there looking for the thieves and the criminals. And then frankly, you have us, right? We're going to be patrolling that parking lot more than maybe an area where there's less crime. You're going to see our volunteers and police service. Those are the white shirts. They're going to be down there. And so we will have a lot of eyes down there, but we really do need your help. And that's why we count on all of you to report that suspicious activity. All right, seeing if there's any more questions. John, and thank you. I appreciate it. And again, if anyone ever wants to talk about something like that and maybe it's uncomfortable, I know this is a live show. I know this is something that's online. Maybe you don't want to bring the question up. You can always shoot me a call. In fact, there's a lady that we've played a little phone tag a couple of times. I'm trying to get back to her. As my time permits, I will respond to those that call. So please, if you have a question and maybe it's sensitive and you just want to talk about it, maybe understand what it is that we do to keep the town safe, more than happy to take those calls as well. All right, well, let's move. So let's talk about how do we keep our garage safe. I know that's kind of silly at times, but that's a very prominent point of entry and theft for criminals. So what I want to do, this applies to detached, attached garages, but typically think of your garage as most of them are attached to homes. Most of them will have a roll-up garage door and maybe a service door, and some will also have windows. So as we talk about it, just think about those points of entry. All right. So with preventing garage door break-ins, consider light, and we talk about this on all of our break-ins, consider having motion-activated floodlights. And these are lights, and when I say floodlights, I mean like floodlights. All right, like have the sconces and the wall washers and all that stuff that make the house look fancy and nice. But if there's someone on your property when they're not supposed to be there, make it go floodlight. And you can be pretty creative in how you hide those. My wife probably doesn't like the fact that I've got one right in the middle of our garage that points down to the driveway. I should have probably done better at hiding it up under the eaves, but maybe I wasn't so handy that day. So you can hide them in certain ways. You can make it so that your house is still appealing. But if a person is on your property when they're not supposed to be, it's a good way to light it up and let other people that are in the area know that someone is there. The easy one, secure all the doors, either with a deadbolt or a smart lock. And those smart locks, a lot of times what you'll see it's on the doorbell or the door, the service door. It'll have like a timer that says after 30 seconds or 60 seconds, throw the deadbolt closed. So even if you forget, the lock won't. Garage doors are the same way, and I'll show you an example of one. But garage doors, some of them will have timers on them. After 5, 10, or 15 minutes, it'll automatically close your garage door, and those can be helpful as well. We've talked about it in the past, but CPTED is crime prevention through environmental design. That has to do with landscaping and making sure that you keep it trim. And I got a photo that I'd like to show you later. Keep the door closed. We talked about that. Consider the timer. Conceal your belongings, and this is something we don't do. I'll tell you that my house, what I try to do is I try to make it so that things that may appear valuable, like bicycles, I don't try to have them to where they're visible from the street. The only thing in my garage you can really see from the street is a car or two, maybe. The rest of it is concealed. And then when the garage door is down, if you have windows in your garage door, maybe consider tinting them a little bit, or maybe using like a frosted tint so you can still get that light that comes in, but it's not going to allow people to actually see what's inside your garage. Because believe it or not, some people go in, they'll do the peekaboo thing up above, and if they don't see anything, they'll go to the next house. If they see something, maybe that's the house they go into. Remote control. Know where your remote controls are and what other remote controls might be available. So the ones that are pre-installed on your car. Consider a garage door shield. And consider having a secondary lock. And I'll show you examples of those in a second. And then secure your service door. So that is the the regular door, kind of like your front door, but it's on the side of your garage, consider reinforcing that, because that is an easy one. We've talked to criminals in the past, and they have told us that they will knock on the front door and then they'll go around to that back garage door and kick that door in, because it's usually an easier door to kick than a front door. It's not as prominent for the home. And then they can usually close it back and make it look like it's closed. So even if a neighbor looked over the fence to see what's going on, it's going to appear closed. So we recommend you can use either bars or 2x4s, something that just kind of slips over a hanger, or just use increased locks or the little pry bar that holds in the corner there. All right. The remote controls, you really have to consider controlling those remote controls. I've got some boxes around some of these. So there's yellow, blue, green, and red. So let's talk about yellow. That is your outdoor box. If you're going to give out the code to someone, make sure that you then change the code. You really need to keep track of the code. If you give that code out to 5 people and your kids' friends are giving it out to people and everybody knows that code, your garage is no longer secure. The blue ones, those are the little clicker remotes. We usually think of those as the car remotes. If you leave that in your car, that is leaving a key for the bad guy to open up and go right in your garage. We've actually seen where there have been thefts from cars where they go in, they've taken the registration, they take that remote, and they're boogieing into your house. And the specific one I'm thinking of was, it was in a commuter style parking lot in another city. So they drove 3 cities away and broke into the house here. And so that is not unheard of. So make sure you keep control of those. Certainly if the car's parked in your front, you want to make sure they're either hidden, or frankly, I don't keep those in my car. The middle one, the green one, that is your garage door that's by the door opener that's by your wall. Believe it or not, I don't know if it's for convenience or what, but I've seen these where they are right next to the exterior garage door, but on the inside. If a crook can see it and put a hanger on it, they can touch it, they can use it. So consider making sure that those are in a place, on a far wall where they can't be reached. And that's also where, if you get a newer garage door, they'll have a timer that will allow you to keep it there for 5, 10 or 15 minutes. It'll stay open. And if you forget, it'll close on its own. Now, my problem with this is if I'm pulling bikes out and stuff, I've got, stuff out, I don't want the garage closing on it. They usually have a hold button where you can press hold and it'll stay open so that you're not going to damage any of your property. One of my favorites though is actually the phone app on the right. That's the red square. And what that allows me to do is this is my garage door opener. So it's very, very rare that I'm going to leave my car and not have my phone. So I know that I'm not leaving the garage door opener in my car, where if it's the clicker, that's going to be in your car, and that's leaving the crooks a tool to get into your car or your house. So don't leave those in. I do like this. Also, I can give, we talked about the code on the door. Instead of giving out your code, if you've got a friend that's visiting or a neighbor that's coming over, you can give them access via the app, and then you can revoke it when they leave or when they're done. And so you're not opening up your whole code to them. You're just giving them a temporary time where they can come in and access it. So here's the one I want to talk about. This is the one you've seen. I think actually I got this off of a video from 2017. So this is an old trick. It's been around. So this is nothing new, but it's the coat hanger trick for the garage door. Sometimes you'll see a Slim Jim. And if you can remember your garage door, there's usually a little emergency pull handle. We talk about it when we talk about how to get out of your home in an emergency. Like if the power shuts down and your garage door opener doesn't work, you pull that emergency handle, and there should be enough weight on that spring where you should just be able to lift your door up and drive out of your garage. That also presents an opportunity for a thief to go in. And I'll show this picture real quick. If you look, that's a thief's hand. And all they have to do is wedge the door a little bit, get their hand up there, or just insert the wire, hook around that emergency release, and pull it. Once they pull that emergency release, all they have to do is lift the door up. So how do you prevent that? Right? That's in some instances I've seen that called the 6-second garage door hack. What you can do is you can buy a garage door lock. So if you have an all manual lock, the one on the left is good. It's you have to physically do it from the inside. So the bad side is if you have a garage door opener, that doesn't really work. If you have a garage door opener though, you can actually use something similar to the one on the right. It does have a manual activation. So if you need to get out of your garage in a hurry, you can slide that over to the side. It drives that pin away from the garage door, allowing you to open it. But during normal operations, what you'd hear is you hit the little button, you'll hear that thing fire back because it's connected to your garage door, and then the garage door will open. So let's look at a couple of different garage doors, and not advocating, we don't push products on this. We just kind of show you some of the options that are out there. On the left, you'll see that there's these are both motorized garage door openers. On the left, you'll see an overhead one, and that is the one with the pull handle. If you see the pull handle, it's up towards the front of the door. If you look at the one on the right, that's a wall-mounted garage door opener, and the pull handle is off to the side where the garage door opener is, and it's in a little bit of a tougher position. And then if we're looking at the wall mount, let's look a little closer. Where is the pull handle? It's off to the side. It's in an area that's going to be a little bit harder to get. And then do you see the lock down there too? So that lock is what's going to keep people from being able to pull the emergency handle and simply pull the door up, because they have to pull the handle, slide the lock over, and then pull it up. And if they're outside the door, they should not be able to slide that lock over. All right. A couple of the other things I want to show an example for is lighting, landscaping, and how to conceal your belongings. And so let's take a look at this. This is an excellent picture that kind of shows all three. If you look, they've got good coach lights. They don't have the Allen Shields spotlight system going on, but that house is very, very well lit up. If you are someone trying to be sneaky, maybe trying to doorbell ditch, or in the case of what we're trying to prevent, commit a burglary, that house is not desirable for a thief. I mean, that is a well-lit house. And look at the landscaping up front. They have that trimmed down to probably about 12 inches. We recommend no more than 36. That is really hard. If it's only 36 inches tall, it's actually really hard to hide under. You almost have to be in like a push-up position to get there, but you're not going to get there by kneeling down. So really hard. And frankly, if your neighbors were walking by and they saw someone laying down on the ground, they're probably going to call the cops. I hope they call the cops. And then lastly, look at the garage windows. And I don't know if it's just a feature of the photo, but those look to be pretty dark. And so if they're dark like that, really hard to see inside, really hard to see if there's property worth stealing in there. So from a garage standpoint, very, very good. The photo is courtesy of Home Depot. It's for educational purposes only, fair use. So thank you to Home Depot for doing that. And I want to check and see if there are any questions in here. We've got a comment. Lou Plummer says, my queue works well. Yeah, I've got that well. Actually, and there's starting to be apps in your car where you can load it. And so as you pull up in your car, the garage door just opens right up. You pull in, you hit the little button, and the garage door closes. So your door is open for a very minimal amount of time. If you have little kiddos, you can load up the app on their phone, and they can open the garage door so you don't have any of those external sensors that can be compromised by other people. So yeah, it does work well. Lana. Oh, so Lana, Dora, sorry. I'm Alan Shields, Chief of Police for the town of Danville. Lana, I don't know if you belong to the RMA, the Real Estate Marketing Association, but I also do talks there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is in your comment, you say this is excellent for our real estate clients. Yes, please tell them to watch. We'll give crime updates. We'll give the real story as to what is happening. We'll also give crime prevention tips. We give emergency preparedness tips as well. The reason I mention RMA is I usually do 2 speaking events there a year. They have a time each week where someone speaks. So I'm usually there as well. And the reason I talk about that is this show was brought about because of COVID, because we weren't having a lot of contact with people. And here at the Danville Police Department, if you have an organization, RMA, if you have an HOA, if you have a business group or association, or even we've done it where, we've had people that live on a court and they say, hey, we've got like 8 houses on this court, and it'd be good if one of you would come out and just tell us like what's going on in the town and how we can better prepare ourselves. We're game for all of that. In fact, there was one community group that used to just invite us out for a barbecue and just say, just come out and have some barbecue with us and answer any questions we have. And it was great. We would just, kind of mingle into the group. It was great having some barbecue, I have to admit. And that way we were able to just kind of socialize and answer any questions and dispel any myths that were going around and really get that going. Okay, so I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. I don't see any other questions, but here's what I'll do. We'll give a couple of quick plugs and then we'll sign off, but I will stay on to answer some questions for a few minutes after the show ends. Again, encourage you to download the FEMA All Hazards Checklist. There is a link in the description. All you have to do is click it, download it, print it, you're done. And this shows you how to stay safe and prepare for an event now, and then how to survive during an event such as an earthquake, and then be safe after. And then how are you going to know if it's an earthquake? It's going to be because the ground is shaking. If the hill's on fire, we're probably going to use something like the community warning system to let you know, like, hey, the hill's on fire, you might want to evacuate. Opt in. This is an opt-in. So you can opt in and get it to your home phone, you can get it to your cell phone, you can get it to your email. And then you can also, while you're there, download our Contra Costa County Residents Guide to Wildfire Preparedness and Evacuation. Again, links are in the description. Really short guides, easy. I go through them once a year, twice a year on this show, but it's good to go over as a family so everybody knows what it is that they need to be prepared for. With that, I don't see anything else in the chat. So I am 1010, which means I'm off duty, but we're always 10-8 and in service to all of you. Thank you all for joining. Have a good night. Have a happy new year and have a happy holidays. Good night, everyone.